I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So today I'm just going to give you a bird's eye view, a big picture of the big picture of SAFE as it is used for uh, attaining business agility. My background, I studied electrical engineering with options in computer systems and telecommunication, and I've worked for 30 years as engineer, project manager, program manager, scrum master, agile leader, and director. I'm a certified safe practice consultant, and I'm validated to train several of the Scale Agile Inc. courses. What you can expect from today's webinar, for those who don't know Agile, there might be some people who don't know. I'm going to give a little history of Agile and explain what Agile is. And then you'll gain an understanding of business agility. And I'll show you some of the key aspects of SAFe that is used to attain business agility. And then give you a glimpse on how SAFe is implemented in a company. I hope at the end of the session that I would leave you with a few nuggets of information that will poke your interest in learning more about Agile and in particular SAFe. And as Gladwin mentioned, we have a YouTube channel where there is many more videos of webinars that you can have a look at to get deeper dive into other pieces of the SAFe framework. So here I listed the topics that I will cover. No need to spend time reading that, but let's dive straight in because there is a lot to discuss. Agile is a methodology that was developed for managing software projects. It allows teams to continuously develop, test, and deploy in short time boxes. And these time boxes are called sprints, or in SAFe, it's called iterations. The iteration will last from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the size of the company and the size of the teams involved, the number of teams involved. Usually the outcome of any of these iteration is a usable increment or a product feature that provides value to the customer. By doing work in iterations, Agile allows teams to find their issues earlier, as opposed to waiting for the end as would have been done in a waterfall project. And I've worked on many waterfall projects myself for software development, and we spend many months and sometimes years working on software development, integrating later on, and building and integrating later on, and then it's too late. We have found issues, we are having a hard time fixing the issues, and then we miss the opportunity, we miss the date. So Agile gives you more flexibility, it allows for more collaboration and incremental progress. And this fosters continuous improvement, and it allows teams to deliver value to customers more effectively, more efficiently, and more frequently. But the thing is, how did we get here? And where did Agile come from? Now I'll take you through a bit of a history of Agile for those who are unacquainted with Agile. In 1970, a computer scientist named William Rice developed this technique called waterfall for large-scale software development. But over the years, many other companies use waterfall for different types of projects. But as technology took off after the dot-com, companies were finding a hard time using waterfall to develop software and produce software for customers faster. So with all the challenges they had, people had started to look into ways of working better. And Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schrober, they were two software management folks and spent a lot of time in software development. And they came up with a paper in which they talk about Scrum and Scrum teams. And they delivered that as a a conference in Austin, Texas. Then in 2000, 17 software developers got together at a retreat in Oregon for several days where they were discussing all of the challenges they were facing and trying to find new ways of developing software to deliver software faster to customers and eliminate problems they would have had with testing and bug fixing late in the project. The outcome of that was a document called the Agile Manifesto, which was put together and published in 2001. The Agile Manifesto has 4 values and 12 principles. The 4 values we'll see later on in the discussion, but we will not cover the 12 principles. There is a lot there. Anyone who wants to have a look can Google it. It's online. Then in 2010, Ken and Jeff decided they're going to write a guide that will help people understand how to use Scrum. And that was called a Scrum Guide. And since then, they have updated it in 2017 and then again in 2020. So if you're looking online, look for the 2020 version. That will be the latest. And the Scrum Guide gives guidance on how to run your project in Agile. Now, moving on, over the last 20 years, there have been many, countless frameworks and methodologies developed. And the most common, those of you who are using SAFe or Agile would be familiar with Scrum, Kanban, or many of the others. XP means extreme programming, TDD, test-driven development, acceptance test-driven development, behavior-driven development, and feature-driven development. And you have Scrumban and peer programming. But on the right side, we have SAFe, which is the Scale Agile framework. And the Scale Agile framework is used to scale Agile across large organizations. We will spend some time today, and the focus here is to understand how SAFe is used and what aspects of SAFe is used for developing or achieving business agility. Here is a definition, and this is a broad definition that I've given. Take 30 seconds, read it, assimilate it. Now, how many of you are working in a company that is already using SAFe? Put in the chat, yes. If you're not using it, put in the chat, no. So I see 2 people, Kumar and Kevin. They're both using SAFe. So Kumar and Kevin, any one of you, can you just give a brief idea of your experience in using SAFe and achieving business agility? That is responding to customer change and adapting, innovating, and pivoting quickly. Focus on those 2 things.
I can bring up something. We were developing a real-time audio redaction using AI. And of course, we had built it for credit cards. And when basically COVID hit, the business client came up and said, hey, we want to be able to do it for checking accounts. So we had to pivot and stop the further development of, say, Spanish-speaking redaction and come up with a checking account. So we actually went from initiation to actually delivering it in about 6.5 weeks, since we had already built the framework using the credit cards.
6.5 weeks.
Yep.
That's that probably was a push, but using the methodologies you have, I am sure.
Yeah, when we were release trained, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Kumar, did you have anything to say?
So yeah. So SAFe we use for the collaboration with the product team and various departments. Or it's more of using the PI program increment planning session with the collaborations, and also the adaptability and quickly respond to changes are basically during the execution that there is some changes in the priorities and changes in those features and within the committed features for the particular PI. So that usually that has been taken care using that some of the art sync meetings. So
yeah. So in both cases, you were able to respond quickly to customer needs,
yeah.
right? And that is a big part of business agility. Let's move on here. Why is business agility important in today's market? Well, everyone knows that there is changes taking place every day. We are working in a very fast-paced industry, a very fast-paced world. We have changes from customer demands to government regulations and competitions from the incumbent and as well as from startups. As a result, every company needs to find ways to become competitive and stay competitive in order to survive. And we go back and several years now, and we will see companies that did not survive, and they did not survive because they did not adapt to the changing environment. One of those companies would have been Nortel, if you're familiar with that name. There was a book written by a lady named Carlota Perez. It's Technological Revolution and Financial Capital. She's a professor of economics at the London College, University of College London in England. And in that book, she talked about 5 technological revolutions. And we are currently living through the 5th technological revolution. And today, businesses are driven by software, digital, AI. And on top of that, we have things like cloud infrastructure, big data, platform, AR, VR, and many other things, many other technologies, many other innovation. I am sure that some of you might have read about a new innovation in the last month. I can tell you that just earlier this week, I was reading an article about the nano diamond battery. Believe it or not, this battery is made from nuclear waste. And the battery lasts for 28,000 years. Could you imagine what that will cost? And I believe, from what I read, they are targeting governments for things like satellites and so on, because you can't change the battery when the satellite is up there. So we have all of these new technologies. Sorry, I moved my page. We have all of these new technologies. So companies really need to adapt and change. To move on, I want to share. Those of you who are using SAFe, you would have seen this before, but I want to share this framework so you can see the big picture. Is it opening? It's not opening. So I have to do this differently. So I just Google it, and I got it. So I'll move it over. I hope you can see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So some people may not have seen this before, and that's the reason I want to just share it. I couldn't put it in my presentation. The SAFe framework is made up of different levels. We have what is called the essential level. And the essential level covers 4 areas of knowledge: behaviors, skills, techniques, methods. These are called core competencies. And usually when a company starts, they will start at this level, regardless of whether the company is 1,000 people or 10,000 people. And there was a large solution, and the large solution, they included another competency called enterprise solution delivery. And the portfolio, we have lean portfolio management, organizational agility, and at the full level, there are all 7 core competencies. We don't have time to look at all of these today, and I'll focus primarily on the essential. If I get a chance, we'll look at lean portfolio management. The framework is an active framework, it's not static. So if you ever go to it, you could click on any of the icons and you'll get an article that explains more about that particular topic. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about Lean-Agile leadership, or leading with SAFe. One of the most important things, and there are 3 important aspects here, and the first one is leaders must embrace and exhibit the lean thinking mindset and the Agile manifesto. Well, when we say lean thinking, what do we really mean? First of all, a mindset. We look at a mindset as a mental lens through which we see the world around us, right? And the lean agile mindset forms the cornerstone of a new way of working. If I open this link, if I could open it, you'll see what is said about it. Okay, I'll open it from here. From the see, as I said, there is an article behind every topic on the framework. It says, as lean agile mindset is a combination of beliefs, assumptions, attitudes, and actions of SAFe leaders and practitioners who embrace the concepts of lean thinking and the Agile manifesto.
I thought lean is minimizing the wastage, right?
Well, we'll talk a little bit later about that. And yes, that is true. It's the personal, intellectual, and leadership foundation for adopting and applying SAFe principles and practices. But here we are talking about a lean agile mindset, not necessarily lean as in lean manufacturing.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So the second item is leaders must lead by example. And what do we mean by that? Leaders must demonstrate certain attributes. They must show that they have emotional competence. They must show that they want to continuously learn. They must be authentic. They must be willing to grow others and also decentralized decision making. And by that we mean moving the decision for the authority to where the knowledge and skill set lies and the information lies. So that could be in any part of the organization. It doesn't necessarily have to be with the vice presidents or the directors, because they cannot come and tell the developer how to do his work. He knows how to do his work. Then we have leading the change. And here we say leaders must lead the change. Whenever a company decides that they want to move to Agile or the scale Agile framework in particular, they need to be able to lead the transformation. They need to guide the organization through this new way of working. So they themselves has to get involved in learning about SAFe. And at the very beginning, and we will see that later on, they will be attending a workshop, and the workshop will be conducted by a SPC or SPCT who works as Agile coach within the company and provides them with information about SAFe and how SAFe is implemented within a company. And another important part of SAFe leaders is ensuring that the people are trained. The people are trained on SAFe. So everybody will be speaking the same language. So now we'll move on to the second core competency, and this is called continuous learning. First of all, the organization need to build a learning organization, a learning organization. Sorry, by saying learning organization, what do we really mean? It's an environment that prioritizes ongoing learning, knowledge sharing, and innovation, and that accepts the 4 SAFe values and the 10 SAFe principles. In a learning organization, everyone seeks to improve on their knowledge and the work they are doing. So for the folks who are using SAFe, have you been given an opportunity to learn about SAFe? You can speak up on that one. Anyone?
I have a question here. May I ask, please?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I heard this talking about in the organization, people given an opportunity to learn about SAFe. But I want to ask, when we talk about the learning culture in a safe environment in an organization, is the focus primarily on learning about SAFe, or the focus is on the organization and the team being able to learn throughout their increment or throughout their projects? It could be about learning about the subject matter of what they are doing. It could be about learning about the client, or learning about the industry. I just want to know, is this focused on learning on SAFe principles or learning as a way of improving the work that is being done?
Yes, there is two sets of learning. First, at the very beginning, people have to learn about SAFe. But as we work within SAFe, and everybody is able to understand and speak the same language, what happens is that we encourage T-shaped skills. By T-shaped skills, we mean a person has deep knowledge in one area they are experts in, but they also give them opportunities to learn, and that's the top of the T, to learn broad knowledge of other aspects of the company, of industry, of technology, of what other people are doing within the company. So that answers your question. It's about learning about everything within the company and what you're doing. So for example, someone who is a product owner, for example, knows about the product, but that person may want to have an opportunity to work in another area and learn about another aspect of the company. They may want to go into sales, for example, or they might want to move to the marketing department. So you have an opportunity to learn and move. And this is where T-shaped skills come in. Another thing is that we want to encourage innovation, and we develop an innovation culture. And this is an emphasis of allowing people to experiment, to innovate, and providing them avenues for thinking creatively and curiously, and pushing the boundaries. And today, companies are running what we call hackathons. I worked in a company, and that company, every year, they run a hackathon for 2 days. The developers are allowed to go away and sit down in a room and do whatever they want to do. They are given a freedom to experiment, to write some type of code, and then come back and get feedback from their peers.
Mustapha, what was the frequency you mentioned? Yeah, typically, like a scaled agile framework recommends that it is done regularly along with the PI planning, just like during the iteration and innovation and
IP, innovation planning.
planning cycle. Yeah,
Yeah.
that iteration that is kept for like every quarter. So during which time PI planning happens, right? So it happens that frequently, but teams usually, in my experience, do not get that time to do the hackathons or learning new things. So because they get always hung up with okay, what we have to complete, what is the technical depth and things like that. So if you can
Yes,
clarify on that, yeah.
Yeah, that is very true. Part of PI planning, in part of PI planning, you have an opportunity to do that type of work with the experimentation. But companies put aside time, and the point is give people the opportunity to do that, because if you're not doing that, then you're doing the same thing every day. You will not innovate. And in today's world, you need to innovate. You need to have ideas.
Yeah, the whole idea of a SAFE was for the innovation and creating like a cutting edge technology product, products in record low times, fast and
Yeah.
fast, development. Yeah, thank you.
That's right. And that brings up to the next item, which is relentless improvement. Now, we talk about relentless improvement, but really, this all started in the Toyota production system. And a gentleman by the name of Taiichi Ono, who is an engineer and a businessman who had developed the Toyota production system, he encourages employees to have a mindset of continuous improvement. That is found as, but by the way, it was developed, that Plan, Do, Check, Act was developed by an American named William Edward Deming. He was a professor of management, and he had gone to Japan after the World War, spent many years in Japan teaching his philosophy and his method of management. And he developed this technique of Plan, Do, Check, Act. And it has found its way into Agile and in SAFE. So what we see is Lean emphasizes continuous improvement. And the person who talk about waste, yes, eliminating waste and continuously improving. So that covers the two core competency which forms the basis of business agility in SAFE. Let's have a look at the other two. The other one is team and technical agility, or agile teams. What is an agile team? An agile team is a group of people who come together and work collaboratively. It is made up of two specific functions. One is called a Scrum Master, and in SAFE, Scrum Master also have a role of team coach. And note, this is not Agile coach, it is team coach. The other role is called the product owner, and the product owner, together with the Scrum Master, actually bring the team together, guide the team, with the product owner bringing the information from the product managers or the marketing department or the customer, for that matter. It could be an internal customer, it could be an external customer. So the product owner is a link to the customer, whereas the Scrum Master team coach is facilitating the events or the meetings and guiding the team to stay within the framework of Agile.
But according
So, for
to Scaled
example,
Agile, sorry to interrupt, like according to Scaled Agile title and certification title, like Scrum Master and Agile Coach, that is the latest title. So Scrum Master can be an Agile Coach depending on the senior level, because that's why I think they changed the certification title to Agile
Yeah.
Coach.
Team coach, not
It's
agile
team coach. It is actually team coach. Yes, you're right. It's team coach. The Agile coach is an SPC, a safe practice
You need a
concept.
special certification to become
Yes.
an agile coach.
It's correct. And together with the developers, the solution architect, QA representative, maybe engineer, an agile team will be 5 to 10 members typically. Now, in a company that's developing large software solutions, then SAFe has a different method from other teams. SAFe from other agile approaches. SAFe has what is called a team of teams or a team of agile teams, and that is called an agile release train. And the agile release train is guided and coached by a release train engineer, which is a specific role. So what you see, there is no project managers, and I see oftentimes jobs being advertised by big companies saying project manager, certified scrum master, or a safe agilist or something like that. There is no project manager. Now, a release train typically will have more than 2 teams, and it could have anywhere from 50 to 125 people in total. But for large software solutions, you have more than one agile release train, and these release train are aligned with what is referred to as a value stream. And we will look at value stream a little later on, time permitting. Let's move along. We talk about built-in quality in Agile. Agile emphasizes built-in quality. There is such things as shift learning left. You will have heard that term before somewhere. Shift learning left simply means finding the issues early and resolving the issues early, as opposed to leaving it to the very end as we would have done in waterfall. There is T-shaped skills, which I mentioned before. There is definition of done. There is collective ownership. There is peer and peer review. And that is really giving people the opportunity to speak up because there's multiple viewpoints. And when we go to a stand-up meeting, for example, you may find, and this is very common, some people stay quiet, but it is an avenue to speak up and say what your mind is telling you, what you are thinking, what could be done better, and improving every day. And then there's workflow automation, which is obviously part of DevOps. And then sometimes each functional area may have their own standard. But in a nutshell, it's important that quality practice are put into place and they are followed by the team. So that sort of covers the basis of agile teams, and the next one will be agile product delivery. This one we will talk a little bit more about it. We talk about customer centricity as one of the aspects of agile product delivery. And what is customer centricity? It's an emphasis on delivering value to the customer by understanding the customer, by focusing on the customer. Now, at this point, let me share. I want to share a clip from a video, and you will not hear. I will hear, but you can read the transcript. So let me see if I can get this over here. And if you can see a YouTube video, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll play a little clip from this, and I want you to read what this gentleman is saying. This gentleman is Porsche CEO, and he's a vice president at Porsche, and this gentleman is from SAFe, and he's interviewing them.
We can't hear the sound though.
No, you can't hear. I am only person who will hear because it's YouTube. So just read. Okay, so what did you gain from that? What is their focus?
As time goes by, customer needs changes. As they stated, their customers are a lot younger than they were like 15, 20 years ago. So, more people are looking at the cars that are younger because they now make a little bit more money than their predecessors did. So you have to focus on that stuff.
And it's a very large company, and they have a focus on the customer.
Mhm.
They're not building something and say, "Here, Mr. Customer, take this." They're listening to the customer and understanding what their needs are, and understanding that the demographic is changing. So they are developing the product to suit the market. And that is customer centricity. Okay, so the other aspect is design thinking, and some of you may have heard of design thinking, but you never really use it. In its simple form, it is coming up with ideas, defining what that idea is, empathizing with the customer, and building empathy maps to understand the customer and what the customer needs are, building prototypes and testing. It's a problem-solving methodology that looks at the problem space, what and why. You have to answer those questions. And the solution space, understanding and answering the question, how to provide that solution to the customer. It emphasizes empathy on the customer. So design thinking is used to create ideas, generate solutions, and then focus on prototyping and testing. In their classes, if you do classes, you will see there were two triangles, and they talk about Gemba walks, going to where the work is being done, seeing what is happening, empathy mapping, journey mapping. These are all techniques that they use and strategies that they use to attain business agility. The next one and the final one for agile product delivery, and this is a very, very big one. And this is only touching on the surface here, is DevOps. But today we know DevOps is DevSecOps, development, security, and operation. At the time DevOps as a model was, or as a framework was developed, we did not have cybersecurity. However, today it is included. So the development team, the operations team, the security, they are all involved. They are all participating together, collaborating. And then there is what is called a continuous delivery pipeline, which includes continuous exploration, continuous integration, and continuous deployment. Or, in other words, people say CI/CD. The important thing about this is when we deploy, we do not release every time we deploy. They deploy only when there's a demand for it, a release on demand. There's a customer demand for it, you release it. So if we are using DevOps, we need to automate DevOps because it is a very tedious process to manually build, test, and deploy code. And that's the way we used to do it long ago. And it took forever. Today, there are many tools to automate DevOps. And some of you may have seen it. Some of you may use it. For example, Jenkins, very popular software for CI/CD. Is there any others that any one of you want to share? About Docker and Mavens used for software builds or monitoring, Splunk. And some people use Microsoft Azure. So there are many, many software out there that is available and companies can use. And I'm not advocating the use of any particular one. I work in companies that use many different. I just I'm not the person using it. There are people who are using it. Now, at this point, I'll also mention that there are software tools that is used to manage agile projects, such as Jira from Atlassian, an Australian company, or Tulip. Tulip is from a company named Enalean, Enalean, sorry, a French company. And then there is others like Asana and Zoho and Monday.com and things like that. More popular ones are Tulip and Jira. Anyone wants to add anything here about DevOps and how you see it being used, or share your experience? Okay, so we move on.
One comment I have here, like though many companies are building CI/CD pipelines and doing a lot of experimentation on it, but when there is a lot of human interactions, like human developers are concerned, companies have to actually balance the need, total automation versus keeping their employees engaged and active. And also DevOps CI/CD is kind of only a dream project in my opinion at this time, meaning
Actually, if you're not directly involved in it, if it doesn't affect you, you will see it that way. But if you're working in it, it's a totally different ball game. And the folks that are actually working and using it, makes their lives, they know that it makes their lives so much easier.
Yeah. So at IBC, I'm an external consultant with IBC, working as Scrum Master, but there, it's an innovation culture every day. We try to build something. It's a kind of excitement, and it's kind of we help companies like AT&T for their automation component of it, so it's an exciting experience to be part of an innovative company like that. But actually in real world, I believe I could be wrong, because we tried to implement it in Truist Bank, and there were a lot of oppositions, and then there are so many grounds that the CI/CD pipeline always gets in one or the other way, it doesn't get total, because it was Bill Gates, in my opinion, again, it was Bill Gates' dream at one point of time to automate everything. Now the dream is ideation. Even the artificial intelligence ideates something, and then it comes out in the form of the product. That is the whole technology dream that is going on right now, and we all benefit from it. I'm not opposing it. So
Yeah.
that's all.
True. Okay, so the next two, I would run through it very quickly. This one is lean portfolio management. And let me clarify, there is projects, which is a unique single endeavor that has a beginning and an end, and all the activities in between. Then we have programs. A program is made up of several related projects. And then we have portfolio. At the higher end, the portfolio is made up of several programs, whether they are related or not related. And in a very large company, for example, Porsche, they have many portfolios with many programs and hundreds of projects. The thing is, SAFe is used in large companies where they are building many, many pieces of software or digital products. And as a result, SAFe introduced lean portfolio management. And this includes three main areas: alignment of strategy and execution. And I read a book by Professor Dr. Stanley K. Ridley, and he talked about pathologies of execution. He said oftentimes there is a gap between strategy and execution in a company. And to be honest with you, in my 30 years working in the industry, I've seen this really exists, where the CEO and the executives set the strategy, but the people doing the work at the bottom, they never really understand that strategy. So the first thing he talked about is omission of responsibility. And this occurs because no one is responsible and leadership is disconnected from the implementation. And the second thing he talked about is a lack of capability in the company. If people do not have the capability, the skills, the knowledge, the tools, how can they execute on the strategy? And the third one he talked about is a complete lack of proper communication and coordination from the leadership to the employees. And that is really true. And maybe some of you have seen that in your past. But SAFE provides the tools to connect strategy to execution. The other thing is value stream mapping and art identification, which is actually a workshop that is run to identify, and this is done early when a company adopts SAFE. The Agile coach would work with the management and the team to identify the value stream and assign teams to make up that art or arts, if it's a very big company, that is aligned with that value stream. And that value stream would have its own mission, vision, and strategy. And in SAFE, we mention strategic teams. This is what strategy is. And the strategic teams is the high level objectives. And then they're broken down in the company as we go along. You take a feature, and the feature came out of an epic, right? And that feature is broken down into stories. And you execute on the stories, you develop software, you write code, you test. That is all part of the strategy to get to the solution. And the last one is lean budgeting. Lean budgeting comes out of lean governance, one of the core competency called lean governance. And SAFE provides practices for lean budgeting with what is called guardrails. Guardrails allows funding to be based on the value streams and provides governance on practices on spending and allocation of funds. So instead of what we used to do long ago, project-based spending, we come up with an idea for a project, we go to the business, we go to the executive, and they say, okay, we could give you $1 million, go ahead and do the project. And at the end of the project, we need more money. I worked on a project for 3.5 years to develop a digital invoice. That took us 3.5 years, and we were doing it in waterfall. You could imagine the problems we encountered at the end of 3.5 years. People were working day and night. I was working Saturday and Sunday to get this thing off the ground. Had we used Agile, had we used SAFE, we would not have found ourselves in that situation. We would have said, okay, we're going to develop a minimum viable product. We will fund the minimum viable product. Go ahead and do it. And then we decide whether the customer like this MVP and move forward. If not, as Kevin had said previously, we had to pivot. We had to pivot and go do something else. So that is all about the reasoning for lean budgeting. I see we have about 6 minutes remaining, so let me run through the rest here. This one, there's only one thing I'll really talk about here. And the one thing I'll talk about is strategy agility. And in strategy agility, you have tools that you can use to measure the outcomes, right? And one of those tools, and I give an example here, a company, for example, and this is at the simplest form, may set an objective, and it's high-level objectives, but you set results, and this is called OKR, objectives and key results. So you set 3 to 5 key results, and then you set measures for them. You could measure it quarterly, monthly, however you want to measure it. You can use percentages, dollars, numbers, whatever way you desire. But it's a tool that is used to measure outcomes. And today, organizations are using SAFE to transform their business to this new way of working. And one of the things we talk about is the second operating system. We can call it a second operating model, where we build teams and we build agile teams of agile teams called ADS. These teams are cross-functional. They allow for flexibility, reorganizing teams as the project determines, right? So a project finished, we move people around, they move on a different project or work on a different project. And I don't know if I can share this slide, but there is a framework, and if you go into there's a framework, or there is a roadmap that talks about implementing SAFe. And so the first thing that happens when a company decides to implement SAFe, you start with an executive buy-in. The executives must buy into this concept of moving to SAFe. And to do so, there is a workshop that is run by the Agile Coach for executives, specifically for executives, so they can understand and they can understand not only SAFe, but how SAFe is implemented. And then they have the opportunities to ask all the questions in the world. People in the company needs to be trained on SAFe, so we speak a common language at the end of the day. They will implement SAFe incrementally, start at the essential level and then move up. And they have to map out the value streams, as I mentioned previously, and install or instill a continuous improvement culture within the organization. And that I would have liked to take you back to the Porsche, but if you haven't looked at that video, I encourage you to go and have a look at it. If you want, I can put it in the chat. I can put, let me copy that and put it in the chat. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
When you have a time, it's pretty long. It's about 45 minutes, but you have some time, have a look at it and listen to how a big company has implemented SAFe and what they think about SAFe and how they're achieving business agility.
Yeah, that seems to be a good video. To invest 42 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it's and I looked at it when I was doing my SPC. I looked at it to see what other companies are doing. Okay, so some practices for sustaining business agility within a company, and that is you produce software, goods, and services to meet customer demands. But not only produce it, you maintain it. Maintain it with a focus on customer needs. So, for example, Porsche design a car, whatever they call the car, the next year customers may be asking for something added to it. So they listen, they maintain it, they add some new features, some new functionality, right? Adjust to changes means improving the product or solution that you provide to the customer. Maximizing human resources, engage the entire team, engage the company, everyone in doing the work that you need to do to deliver a solution. Get ideas from people, listen to people, and learn from the customer feedback and also from the experimentation that you're doing. And SAFe provides several metrics that can be used to measure things like flow in the system, flow of value through the system or through the value stream. And that in itself is an entire different lesson. And here are some of the key benefits. Let's touch on, we are on time, I'll go a little bit extra here. A faster time to market. SAFe enables organization to deliver fast to the customer by streamlining processes, by reducing waste, and by improving collaboration. We have increased productivity SAFE empowers teams to work more efficiently by providing clear roles, responsibilities, and processes. And then we have enhanced quality. We talk about built-in quality practices in the organization. With that, I want to move on, tell you a little bit about IBC. IBC is a global organization. We are a safe practice, or a safe goal SPCT partner and a platform partner. We help businesses through their safe transformation journey, and we provide training both public and private. We provide AI consultant services and training in AI for agile leaders. It's a core competency of IBC. We provide SPCTs and SPCs to companies as agile coaches to help them through their journey. At this point, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to leave you with my LinkedIn profile, IBC website, and here is the YouTube channel. And finally, for those of you who likes to read, here are some books that I recommend. SAFE 6.0 Practice on Lean Thinking are two wonderful books I enjoyed reading. So if you so desire, you can get yourself a copy. So once again, thank you very much and have a good day.